Hi guys, so with everything going on and the CDC recommending us all wearing face masks anytime we leave the house, I thought I would show you guys how to make a couple face masks. Now I got these instructions off of the CDC website, so this is what they're recommending. These face masks aren't as good as, the ones that you can buy in stores, but they're better than nothing. So I have two different face masks I'm going to be doing today. One's a really easy one. All you need are some scissors, some tape, a tape measure, and an old t-shirt. And then the second one, you'll need some fabric, just cotton fabric. It could also be a t-shirt if that's what you have. I'm going to add a paper clip in there, either a needle and thread or a sewing machine, some pins, and some thread. Alright, so we're going to start out with the simple one, the no-sew one. So the CDC has this on their website if you want to look up the actual instructions. So what it says is just to cut off the bottom of the t-shirt. Alright, it says to cut about 8 inches. This is my dad's old t-shirt. So we got to measure out 8 inches. Alright, so it's about here. So what I'm going to do is just flip it in half. So I measure on one side. I'm going to measure out 8. So that right there is 8. And then I'm going to pull it over and make sure the other side also has 8 inches. Now that's also 8. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so when I fold it in half, that way I can just get a nice easy cut. Alright, so we can get rid of this top part, and now we're just left with the bottom part of the t-shirt like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut it so I can get just a long line of fabric. I like to cut on the seams, that way we know we're going straight. Alright, so now we have some fabric. Now what they recommend is 6 to 7 inches to cut off the edge. I'm going to measure that and see how much I want. So I'm going to measure from where I'd want my mask to end to how much length I'd want for a tie. So I think do about 12 inches. Alright, so I've marked 12 inches, and I'm going to take a pencil and I'm just going to create a little line. It's going to be kind of hard to see on the dark fabric, but that's okay. And I'm going to mark the same on the other side. So 12 inches, like that. Alright. So we're going to cut the strap. So what you want to do is just cut a square out of here. And so you want enough thickness for your straps on each side. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Alright, so we got one side of our mask done. So now we have to do the other side. So I'm going to measure on my face how wide I want the mask to be. What they do online, they don't do any of the measuring, but when I made it online, the mask was just too big around. So I'm going to measure. So say here to here. So I want mine to be 8 inches. I'm going to go ahead and mark out 8 inches on the top and the bottom. Alright, and then I have a lot of fabric still left, and this is way more than I need for my strap. So I'm going to measure out the same length I did on the other side. So yeah, 12 inches. So from where I marked 8 inches, I'm going to measure out 12 inches. So that's right here. And I marked it right here. So again on this side. So I'm just going to cut straight here. Alright. And now I already have my 12 inches marked this way, so I'm just going to cut straight down like I did on the other side. Alright, so now we have a finished mask. So what they recommend is to tie one of it up on top of your head. And the other one below. So, we got a decent mask. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Alright? So now I'll show you the other way of making a mask. So this next one is more complicated. It does involve sewing, so if you don't have a sewing machine or needle, you can just stick with the first one. But I like this one, the second one, a little bit more. I think it's a little more comfortable. Now, on the website, they don't include the paper clip. I think it makes it a little better, but you definitely don't need a paper clip. And on the website, they have elastic bands for the loops to go around the ears. I don't personally like that because it chafes my ears a little bit if I wear it for too long. So in this one, I'm going to make straps. Alright. So we have a fabric. It just can be any cotton fabric. You want it to be like the threads to be tight and stuff. So they recommend cotton, t-shirt if you need to do that. So this is just an old tablecloth that I have. It's pretty big. So I'm going to flip it inside out. So they say to cut 2 squares out. You want to be 6 inches by 10 inches. So I'm going to measure out 10 inches. So that's 10. I'm going to mark. And then by 6. And now to get a straighter square, I always mark the other side too. So I go, make sure I did that right. 6, yeah. So I do 6 on this side. And I do 10 across. And then I just connect all the lines. Now these don't have to be perfect squares, but might be a little easier if they look pretty good. So I got myself a square, 6 by 10, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. Alright, so I have my first square. Now I'm going to do a second square. So I'm just going to place this on here, make it go a little bit quicker, and just cut according to my first piece of fabric. Alright. So then I can get rid of the excess fabric for now. You're going to need some a little bit later to make the straps, but for now, all you need is your 2 squares. Alright, I'm going to place them one on top of the other. Now they don't have to be perfect, but just as close as you can get it. Alright, now I'm going to take my paper clip and I'm going to just straighten it out. I'm going to use this paper clip for the bridge of the nose of the mask just so it can have a little bit better shape. But for now, we're just going to leave it straight and put it at the top of the mask. Now we're going to fold it down. They say about 1/4 inch. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to sew that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put some pins in just to hold it all in place. So what I'm doing is I'm sewing with the little paper clip already in there. If you want to sew first and then stick it in later, you can. I just think it's easier to have it in there. So you can measure it out to be exact, but I'm just going to eyeball it. Alright, so as you can see, I have just a nice little hem right there. And then I'm going to take some string. My needle, I'm going to put some string on it. I already have one threaded. So I always try and make it longer than the actual piece, just in case. It's better if you have too much string than too little. So I always kind of do like at least the length and a half, or even sometimes double the length of the piece of fabric when I'm hand sewing. So I'm going to go ahead and hand sew the top of this right here. Alright, so now we have one side done. Now one thing I'm going to do that's also not in the actual CDC's instructions is I'm going to make pleats in mine. So since this is the top, I'm going to make my pleats like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, say 1 inch, or 1.5 inches, right? And then I'm going to take the bottom part and I'm going to bring this up for 1/2 inch. So we're going to make 1/2 inch pleats. Now this is just an extra step. I like it because I think it makes the mask fit a little bit better, more comfortable. You don't have to do this. So I'm going to put a pin a little bit further to hold that in place. And I say put it a little further on the outside so that when we go to make this hem, we have enough room still to make the hem without touching the pin. So I have it like about like 1 inch away from it so I can make a, or maybe that's 1/2 inch, so I can make a 1/4 inch hem. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do 1.5 inches from where I have the start of the first pleat. And then I'm going to bring the second one. Actually, we'll do that one only 1 inch. So I'm going to have it 1 inch, and I'm going to bring it up 1/2 inch. So like that. And again, I'm going to put another pin in it. So like that. So I have 2 pleats right there. And you can see what it's going to look like if you turn around. You have 2 pleats right there. Alright. So now I'm going to go ahead and make the hem. So I'm going to just flip this part over and put a pin in it. pin. Alright, and then we'll just repeat with the other side. So I said, so it's just like this. So we have both sides pinned. You can go ahead and hand sew both sides again if you want. I'm going to actually go and use my sewing machine because it's a lot faster. And then after that, you just fold this half down and repeat as like the top. Oh, bless me. And yeah, so I'm going to do that all in the sewing machine. Okay, so I went and finished sewing. So I've sewn the pleats down, and I also have the bottom hem done. So now, so far, the mask looks like this, which I think is pretty good, because then when it puffs out, it's like this, you know? So now we just have to add some straps. So what we're going to do from the straps is take the same fabric, and we're going to cut 4 long pieces out of it. So here we are. So I'll just crop from here. You want to see how long you want your straps to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and measure from here. I think, yeah, about 12 inches, again, like the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and mark where 12 inches is at on my thing. So now these don't have to be perfect. So I'm just kind of going to go along a line. So I have right here, I have one edge, and I'm just making a second edge for straps. So I'm not really caring if my straps are going to be perfect or not. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to cut along that edge that I made, just a bit downward. Alright, so now I have the start of a square, and I'm just going to cut, probably try and cut around like a 2-inch thickness, I say. And I'm just eyeballing it, so it's not going to be perfect. Alright. Now for these, what we're going to do is we're going to fold one side over, and then the other side over, and then we're just going to pin along that. Now if you want to make this look a little nicer, you can like tuck the corner of it in and fold it like that, so you have like a nicer edge if you want to do that, like that, rather than just folding it and having this edge, which might fray a little bit. Or if you want to get really fancy with it, you can sew it inside out, so all the way along here, and then turn it inside out. That's really difficult to do. It just takes a while. So I'm going to do this way. And since these masks we'll be using for a while, because you can wash them, but I'm not expecting them to last a lifetime, so I'm just going to do it like this. So we have each 4 straps pinned. So you can go ahead and just sew again along each line, either hand sewing or with the machine. I'm going to go use my sewing machine because it is faster. And then what you're going to do is after they're all sewed, is you're going to just attach them to each corner of the mask. And attach them on the inside, like that, and like that, and like that. So I'm going to do that as well on my sewing machine, and I'll come back with the finished product. Okay, so I went ahead and finished sewing the mask. So I have all of the sides sewn, the strap sewn on. I just went like that, so each corner just has the strap attached to it now. And we have ourselves a finished mask. So what you want to do is make sure your paper clip's in the center of your mask so you can just kind of feel it there. And then you're going to want to kind of shape it to your nose. So like that. Kind of make it like a little bridge. So it'll just kind of stay there. And then go ahead and try it on. And there you have it. You got your own little mask. I like this one a little better. It feels like it fits me better than the first one. I think the paper clip really helps. But yeah. So again, these masks aren't quite as good as the ones you buy in stores, but they are better than nothing. You can find all the written instructions for these masks on the CDC website. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope this helps. Have a good day, guys.